Smart 24, driving business.
A very good morning to you once again. Welcome to Business Insight, this moment whereby we give you the latest insight and where we do as well invite a guest to come in and give us some insight, some support, some knowledge on different pertinent issues that are happening all over Uganda and elsewhere around the world. Today we are talking about, in the wake of what has been happening, the riots, the accountability questions, rallying up support, and of course looking at corruption, cyclical corruption in Uganda for the last couple of years, its implication on different sectors in Uganda. The education sector is rotting, the health sector has its own challenges, you know, the roads that we use have different issues, and yet monies are being swindled every single day in our country. In fact, it has been called right now at a grand scale. The corruption in Uganda, the resource misuse is at a grand scale. Now, recently, it was of interest to us when it came out really out of the media as well, on the different ways in which some of the schools were conducting their electoral elections during the primary schools. There was quite a lot of money going around and some pomp and flash in particular schools. This raised the question to us about ethics. What are we doing as well, and how are we modeling the next generation to be ethically upright? To help us and give us insight, we have invited Mr. Dickson Tumramye, who is a parenting coach, marriage counselor. He's also the head of the Honors College and Uganda Christian University, and he's also the executive director for Hope Regeneration Africa. Welcome, Mr. Dickson.
Thank you so much, Doreen.
It's such a delight having you.
I'm also glad.
We are talking about raising ethically conscious citizens, the children, you know, especially the citizens. But how does a citizen get up? They start from the base,
yes,
the foundation. We know you are quite keen about parenting, about making sure that we do not just raise our children far. Yes? What is happening right now? Is it a reason to be worried, or am I just being a little bit rabid? Should I be worried about the current state of Ugandan citizens, especially starting from the lower ages? Should we be worried?
Especially when we're looking at the Gen Z.
Yes, yes.
I think we don't need to be worried per se, but of course there are some indicators of worrying us when we see what is happening in our society, especially the moral decadence that is going on right now, and the many things that are happening around us. We've seen how people during the day in the broad daylight are being hit by young men. People are being kicked around. People are stealing in broad daylight, and people are not people don't care, not bothered. Recently, we saw Bishop Zach. Someone just came and grabbed his phone, and also they injured him. Almost towards midday.
Yes.
We have seen many video clips where someone is doing something wicked, and then someone is taking a video.
Unbothered.
And then other people around, and they're not bothered. And you're like, which kind of society is this? Is it a rotten society, or is it people are no longer conscious about their security? Is it overconfidence? Is it like I don't care attitude? What is the problem? So some of the things that we see around, somehow you can't feel scared of whatever is happening.
And sometimes we question ourselves thinking that, it has happened to this person. It is only when it happens to you, I think, that sometimes you get a little bit activated. Because you keep thinking that it will always happen to another person. These karate people who were beating people, yes? You look at it from the context of, it has happened to that person. Oh, sorry. But when it happens to you is when you take it personal. But in our minds, I think sometimes we don't think it can happen to us.
And that's true, of course. When it happens to someone and it has never happened to you, it's like when you have never lost a person. You would never know how serious it is, that when you lose a person, it is something very serious. So I think it's the same thing that we are seeing happening in our society. When something has not happened to you, you want to stop at saying sorry, but there's no action that you can take. Even when you see that kind of a video which has some lot of wickedness, you don't want to come up and shout for advocacy. You want to stop at saying sorry or even condemn, but you do not take any action. Yet, some of the things that we are seeing in our society, they call for an action. What have you done about it? If you've seen something that you don't like, you as a person, what have you done?
Yeah.
What kind of strategies have you put in place to make sure it shouldn't happen again? And if it happened to you, or maybe it may not happen to you directly, but it can happen to your child, it can happen to your brother, your parent, or your sibling.
Yeah.
So do you want to wait for that to happen and then you come to terms with it? I don't think we should reach that far. So we should always think through it and take an action on time.
It has, you do remember, I'm very sure that you have heard of this scenario whereby in rationalizing some of the actions, you have some parents who have said, I suffered. If you say it in your language, in Kabonabona, during my time, so I do not want my children to also suffer the same way. So that is instances whereby you get even schools complaining, and you have schools such right now, such as Rubaga Girls and other schools that say, no, you have a limit to how much monies you can bring, pocket money you can bring. You will not accept all children once they walk through that gate are equal. We do not want them to get come with any grab, any flashy things. We want all our children to be at the same footing and learn to negotiate and look at life differently. And you have quite a number of other schools as well getting onto board because of the exuberance of parents. Is this coming from the part of I suffered, so I do not want my children to suffer? Is it worthwhile? Is it worth it? Or it actually begins to permeate within the children a habitual way of living that is extravagant, a habitual way of living that does not care, that is selfish, does not care about the next person. Why do you think this is coming out more and more often?
I think parents who have that kind of attitude of saying that I suffered and so I don't want to see my child suffering the same way, and then you want to give a lot to your child which they can't even manage at this age. I think it's something very bad. Actually, it's a kind of, it questions the moral integrity of the child. Because now imagine, and of course we are seeing how many things which are happening, including even the problems which are happening in schools.
Yes.
Now imagine you are giving a child 3 million in primary, or maybe 1 million of pocket money. The school fees is already 3 million, and the pocket money is almost halfway the school fees. So what are you teaching this child who is in P4, who is in P5, and you're giving all this a lot of money?
Yeah.
Now, at school already, the canteen, I don't think that there's anything that can be, any eat or grab that is for more than 100,000. It can never be there.
Yes.
If it's so that, and it's very expensive to be maybe 3,000, if the school is too expensive, they want to make it so expensive. So that means this child is not going to use all that money at once.
They will flash it around and spend it.
Around and start blagging. And in doing that, they are learning bad habits. And they will always think that money is made in an easy way because they don't know how money is made. For them, they think that everything is on a silver plate. You've seen children who come and say, Mommy, why don't you go in a supermarket and we buy a child? That's the kind of mindset that they think
everything is money.
Money.
Yes.
So now, when you have these children and they are living that kind of lifestyle, just know that what you're imparting in that child, tomorrow that child will be independent. So you're not giving that heart of independence in this child. So I think it begins from us as parents who do not want to raise children who are independent and who can also have their own skills. And remember that resistance, the way you survived, the way you went through your situation and the hassling you went through is the reason maybe why you're better now. Because if you have not gone through that, maybe today you didn't be what you are, but we're going to be having that money.
But you also have parents that say, but who am I working for? Yes? Who am I working for? I'm waking up very early in the morning. I'm getting out there. The rain is hitting me. Whom am I working for? If you don't want me to even be able to give my child the extra 100,000 because you want me to be politically right and within the brackets of sanity, who am I working for? You have a number of parents asking that as well.
That is very good. But remember, whatever you're doing, actually whatever we are doing, all of us as parents, we're doing it for the sake of our children because we want them to be better than us, which is very true. And that's the reason why we all hustle. You have these jobs, you are working here, you're doing that, this and the other. Make ends meet at the end of the day and make sure that your family is catered for. But to what extent? And what skills are you imparting in this child? What morals are you raising in this child? What kind of a picture are you creating in his mind? Are you helping the child to grow and become independent, to become creative, to become innovative? Because if you're trying to do each and everything for the child, and you don't show that this is how money is made, your child wakes up in the morning, everything is on the table. There's breakfast. After breakfast, the child is on the screen. If not on the screen, the child goes back to the bed. The maid is in the kitchen working and doing each and everything. At lunchtime, they go and beg the child to come and even eat food. You say, come and even you yourself, you beg. Yes. Beg the child, come and eat food, which you've been toiling for. And then you think that you're doing a good job and you're raising a good child. You're just spoiling your own child.
But you see, from the way that we are being conditioned, yes, we also know about that conditioning aspect of it. We also know that you have different persons out there, Ugandans out there, that say, you know what, I don't cook. Yes, I don't. Because the idea about it is I would rather spend that time looking for the money to hire a cook and be able to do something more constructive. You have had quite a number of Ugandans get into that. So it may not just be just the cooking or the domestic aspects or something like that, but you have more and more Ugandans from especially the elite strata saying that we would want that as a parent, I would want to bring up my child to be able to be skilled and do the right thing and do the productive part. And then so that she can have more money or he can have more money to hire someone. I'm doing good because I'm giving someone employment and focusing my time on something productive. So it does not necessarily that mean my child should go and spend 1 hour cleaning the house, washing dishes. I would rather get my kid to go and focus on maybe coding and computer something so that the child is better. What is your philosophy on that? What
I want to say is we are all of us are unique, gifted differently, and all of us are in our own lane. So as you're grooming this child, remember this child is going to become someone's wife, someone's husband.
Yes.
Now imagine you are raising your daughter to become someone's wife tomorrow, and your daughter does not know anything to do with house chores, for example.
Yes.
They don't even know how to clean their clothes. I remember when I was at campus, even up to now because I work in a university, I know some students who over the weekend, they carry all the clothes.
And take them back home.
Back home. And they don't even to go and use the machine to wash for them. No, they don't want even to touch the washing machine. They want the maid to be the one to wash for them, iron for them. Then on Monday, the mom or the dad puts this child in a car and they take the child back to school after the maid has done everything for this child. But you remember, after when this person is out of school, he's going to get a job where you know to be.
Yes.
And this person will have to fend for himself or herself where you know to be. So now, if your child does not learn these simple skills from home, you have only tried to make sure that the child learns only soft skills. But then these other livelihood skills, they don't know anything. How are they going to survive on their own? You saw what happened during COVID.
Yes.
All of us were at home.
All of us.
All of us.
Some very uncomfortably at home.
Yes. Now imagine that situation where you're in that home alone. You don't have a maid, or even if you have a maid, you have everything, but life becomes meaningless because in you don't have something that can give you self-motivation to look at life in a better way, or you think looking at it from or think that maybe this is good for me, I can also do this for myself. So if we don't impart some skills in our children, we think that only soft skills will help them. If you only think that screen time is the best for your child, remember, even the screen time has its own challenges of addiction, or it can even affect the child's eyes. Some children don't even learn very well because of the screen. It also comes with distractions in life because as they grow, somehow they are going to be, you know, as you're watching a certain program, another advert comes in, then the child is, okay, you're distracted. Something else comes in. So there's that kind of distraction.
Attention span gets lower and
lower as the child is growing. So you're already destroying your child indirectly, thinking that you're helping your child actually. Now, when this child has grown and is now on his own or her own, where you are not, how is this child going to survive? Will you also be able to get a maid? But remember, maybe for you now, for example, you're now employed, you're here, you're working here, and you're doing all these things for your children. But the child may not get an opportunity like you to get an employment immediately and work like you're working. So at that time when your child is not working, what is going to happen? How is the child going to survive? So I think we really need to train our children that in whatever life they are going through, they have the skills that can help them survive and live happily. I have heard of some parents who said for them, they cannot allow their children to board taxis.
Why?
Because they are pampering them, they suffered, or that's not part of what they are suffering for.
Yes.
And you wonder, now where will you not be, what will happen to your child?
They will use Uber.
But will they use Uber every now and time? Sometimes, I'm sure you have always been driving and reaching a jam, and yet you have to be here on time, and you say, I think if I can park on the side, I grab a border, it can be easier for me to catch up with time.
Yeah.
Now there are parents who say, my child can't use a border, my child can't use a taxi. So you end up enslaving yourself and even your child with that mindset, and then your child is not having some good skills. Actually, they're not necessarily survival skills, but skills which are good for life, which make us stronger and resilient and persistent in hardships, because hardships are part of life, failures are part of life. And actually, they're the ones that help us to get streamlined and get better. So where you're trying to hide your child, some things from your child, just like you're spoiling the child and you're destroying that child's future. And there's a clip which was moving around where the parent went with his son to visit another family in the village. And so they reached there, and everything was natural, the foods and everything. Then the child came back with home and said, and told, when they came back home, he told his dad, I think you're a bad dad, because we have visited these children, everything they are doing, food is natural, everything is in a natural setting. But for us, everything is in the fridge. We eat all this junk food, there's nothing good about it. Why can't we be like the other family?
Yeah.
Now, you might find that we could be having few of those children who can come up with that mindset of appreciating the other part of life.
Yeah.
So I think even as we need to train our children to appreciate every part of life and to go through all these situations. I don't want them to go through the bad situations like some of us have gone through. Yeah. But I just want them to experience their real life. Now, when imagine your child is when you take a child, for example, to a boarding and doesn't know how to wash clothes, that child would suffer. And even others will be mocking him or mocking her. And that comes with stress. And that stress, of course, comes with bullying, and it develops into something like depression. And these are the high cases of mental health we are having in Uganda. Because for 14 million people who have mental health challenges, it's not something small that you should be proud about as a country.
Now, let's dive straight. Now that we've had this sneak peek into what we should be looking at, the cores of parenting, let's now dive straight into its relation to what is happening in Uganda. With all this rampant corruption happening, do you think they were raised right? What happened? Because during the age group that is taking those mabatis, that is right now, everyone knows about it because it is out there. The age group that is consistently taking that trillion, those billions, asking for this and that, those were in an era where parenting was a little bit still more conservative. That was an era whereby parents were still more into go and see your auntie. If you did something wrong, the village person would come and report and tell. And it was more or less collective, yet it was still very collective. What went wrong? Because we are right now in another era where we are mindful of how do we parent our children to be ethically conscious, ethically upright citizens of integrity. But we're also getting to see that the breed of leaders that are, and this is not a blanket statement, blanketing in all the breed. We're saying that those that have been implicated were raised in an era where you were very comfortable saying that the parenting was good. What went wrong across that divide, across that line? What went wrong for those particular persons, so that we can pick a leaf and say maybe we should be very keen on this as we raise ours?
I think where we are in Uganda, we are living in a rotten system where we think that corruption has become like a norm. We no longer have that consciousness of thinking about others. We no longer have the feeling of others, the empathy is no longer within us. Thinking that, for example, you know that the people in Karamoja are suffering, they need these iron sheets. And you're in charge, you're a minister, you are given these iron sheets. And without any shame, you get these iron sheets, you take them to your farm and you roof your pigs. You roof, I mean, the piggery house.
Yes.
Now, so that means in your mind you're thinking that my pigs are more important than the human being.
Or you're not even thinking about that, you're thinking about the fact that I also was looking for iron sheets.
For iron sheets.
Yes.
And then you forget about the other person. And then you forget that the job you are in is because of the other person. You wouldn't have become a minister of Karamoja maybe if the other person, if the other person were not suffering, you wouldn't be a minister of Karamoja. Yeah. But you don't have that courtesy of thinking about them, and then you do this. So I think where we are now, we are learning from the already spoiled system. That's why you see that right now you go in an office, even if you are morally upright, but because you know that this is how things are done. There's now this statement of Mfunamua.
You conform.
You conform to the standards of the what? What the Bible says, you conform to the standards of the world.
Yes.
And before you know it, you become the part of the system. Another thing that I'm seeing which we're having, especially among the politicians, right now we see a lot of commercialization of politics. I don't know why the government is not working on making sure there's no commercialization of politics. Now people are into politics as a business.
Yes.
It's not about serving the people that you're representing in parliament, but it's about having a job and you also earn. Remember one of the late Honorable Kato Rugama?
Yes, yes.
When he said, I also wanted to go and eat like others.
He was honest.
Yeah.
That's why he got votes.
Yes.
Yes.
Send me also go and eat like others.
Instead of the others who are eating alone, at least he came out and was honest about it. And the majority sent him because he was honest about it.
But again, you have also had our leaders, the president, the speaker, recently when the speaker and when the speaker was in this district where where this lady was implicated in corruption was saying, don't worry, this one at least when she eats she brings back to us. It's the time when the president said, don't worry, as long as the money does not go their side, but it's
and you see, Mr. Dixon, this is where this is now worrying.
Yes.
That this can be taken with so much flippancy.
Yeah.
You know, we are totally getting dead to the ethics, such that you get to a point and you are unbothered. You have been implicated. You know there's an upcry. You know there is rampant poverty. You know people are suffering because of your actions, and you still have the audacity to come out and say this. We are dead to what we are supposed to be doing. Let us backtrack, find out, how did this happen? How did the deadening happen?
So I think, as we said, the rotten system of Uganda,
yes.
Then our leaders who are not conscious about what they are saying, because I think some of them, some make statements without knowing what the implication will be to society. Because now when I hear such a kind of a statement of saying that, don't worry, at least for them, they invest back the money here.
They bring it back and eat with you.
So you're in that case, even if you're saying that I am condemning corruption, someone who is already corrupt will say, after all, as long as I say I steal and save back here.
I gave you some.
Yes, and I give you some. I take it back to my electorates. That means
it's okay.
It's okay. It's not a bad thing. So everyone even who was not a thief,
yes.
it means that word, for lack of a better word, we now start thinking, I can also do the same. Also, in now where we are in Uganda, people are living this lavish life. They want to have a kind of lifestyle that is not even within their means. So to keep that lifestyle, especially I've seen that like among musicians, let me give an example.
Yes.
If you want to live that kind of lifestyle and you cannot manage it, but you have you have access to money around you, you will end up stealing that money because you want people to know that you have it, when actually you don't have it. Then of course, as we are also going on, we are trying to copy a lot from the Western world.
Yes.
We think that whatever we see outside there, it is good for our country, our society, our cultures. So we think that whatever we see, we should also come and implement it here, not knowing the negative impact of it. I also think that our parenting responsibilities are now changing because most parents do not have time for their children. They wake up in the morning, they go to work, and they come back home late, and they don't take time to talk to their children about what is happening in the society. We've been seeing, excuse me, things which are happening, and a lot of we have seen our leaders getting into the prison, they're being taken to Zida, and our children are asking, how come this person is doing A, B, C, D? What is happening? And you know, so it is now you as a parent sit down and explain all these things to your children. Say, there's corruption, and these are the causes of corruption. This is how corruption starts. This is how corruption happens, and this is how we can overcome it. So that you as a parent take that responsibility and audacity of speaking to your child and tell them the bad things, the evil things that are happening in our society. So I think that some of the parents don't have that time to sit with their children. But also we have seen also the parents themselves stealing. They might be stealing money directly from offices.
Yes.
But even the way the things they are doing at home, they show that they are corrupt.
And when the children innocently ask, they say, where do you think your school fees is coming from? That chicken that you ate last night, where do you think it's coming from? So you normalize stealing. Yes. And this is on the increase. It's on the increase.
Seriously.
Let's take a short break, and we'll be right back after this message. Seriously speaking,